The sandstorm hit Camp Henderson without warning. The air turned orange, the horizon vanished, and the wind screamed like something alive. Amid that chaos, a single figure ran toward the explosion site, her boots sinking deep into the Afghan dust. Sergeant Claire Donovan didn't stop to think. She never did when someone's life was at stake. Her instincts had always been faster than fear. Moments before, a transport convoy had been ambushed on the southern ridge. One of the trucks, carrying ammo and supplies, was burning, the heat distorting the air, the metal hissing like a serpent. Claire's radio was filled with frantic voices. Someone was trapped beneath the wreckage. That someone was her commanding officer, Captain Elijah Ward, the man who'd once told her, "You'll never hesitate when it counts." He was right. Claire sprinted through the smoke, her lungs burning, every step slicing her with dust and shrapnel. The truck was ready to blow and the ground vibrated beneath her. Marines shouted at her to fall back, but she didn't hear them. Or maybe she did and simply didn't care. She dropped to her knees beside the wreckage and saw him, Ward, pinned by a twisted steel beam, his face streaked with soot and blood. He was barely conscious. The fire crept closer, the flames licking the spilled fuel. Claire grabbed a metal rod and wedged it under the beam, using every ounce of strength she had. The heat scorched her face. Her hands bled through her gloves. She screamed through clenched teeth and heaved, and with a final cry, the beam shifted enough for her to drag him free. She pulled him away just as the truck erupted behind them, a wall of fire that sent both their bodies flying forward. Claire hit the ground hard, pain tearing through her side, but she crawled, dragging him with her until they reached cover behind a Humvee. Then everything went dark. When she woke up, there was silence. Not the chaotic kind that fills battlefields, but the stillness of a hospital ward. She blinked, the world coming into focus in flashes. White sheets, a faint beeping monitor, the smell of antiseptic and burnt fabric. Her throat was dry as sand. For a moment, she didn't remember what had happened. Then she did. The fire, the beam, Ward. She tried to sit up, but pain shot through her ribs. Her uniform had been cut open, bandages wrapped tight around her chest and shoulder. A nurse appeared, soft-spoken and kind, telling her she'd been out for almost 2 days. "Where's Captain Ward?" Claire rasped, her voice barely audible. "He's alive," the nurse said with a smile. "Because of you." That was all Claire needed to hear. She turned her head toward the window, tears pooling in her eyes. The Afghan desert stretched endlessly beyond the base walls, golden under the morning light. She'd done what she had to do, but part of her felt broken, hollow. Hours passed. She drifted between sleep and consciousness, memories flickering through her mind, the explosion, the shouting, the unbearable heat. Each time she woke, she felt the ache deeper in her bones. Marines came by to check on her. Some left quiet words of respect, others just nodded. But she didn't expect what would happen the next morning. When the nurse returned, she said softly, "Sergeant Donovan, Command has asked that you step outside when you're ready." Confused and weak, Claire hesitated. She pulled herself out of bed, every muscle trembling. Her bandaged arm hung by her side. The nurse helped her into a clean uniform. Not the dusty one she'd been pulled from the fire in, but a pressed formal one. Claire brushed her fingers across the medals already pinned there. She hadn't even realized Command had added one more. When she stepped through the doorway, she froze. Outside the medical tent, the entire 3rd Battalion of Marines, more than 800 men and women, stood in perfect formation. The Afghan sun was blazing overhead, glinting off their helmets and polished boots. And in the center of it all, Captain Ward, pale, still recovering but standing tall, saluted her. The air felt heavier than ever before. Claire's heart pounded. She didn't understand at first what was happening. Then she saw it, the rows of soldiers raising their hands in salute one by one, until every Marine on that dusty field was standing at attention for her. The silence was thunderous. Ward stepped forward, his voice steady but thick with emotion. "Sergeant Donovan, when that explosion hit, most of us thought no one could make it to that truck. You didn't just save my life. You saved the spirit of every Marine here. You reminded us what courage looks like when the world is on fire." Claire's vision blurred again, but not from pain. Her throat tightened as tears welled up. She'd never been one for recognition. She'd always believed heroes were the ones who never came home. But now, standing before that sea of uniforms, she realized something. Sometimes being brave isn't about surviving. It's about being willing to run into the flames for someone else. Ward turned to the crowd and gave a command. "Marines, present arms." The air filled with the synchronized motion of rifles and salutes. The sound cracked like thunder echoing across the camp. Claire could barely stand, but she lifted her hand to return the salute. Her bandaged arm trembled, but she didn't let it fall. For a long, suspended moment, time seemed to stop. The wind carried the distant hum of helicopters. The desert shimmered in the heat, and 800 Marines stood as one, not for rank, not for orders, but for the woman who'd refused to leave a man behind. When it was over, Ward approached her quietly. "You didn't just save my life," he said. "You saved this family." That night, Claire sat alone under the open sky, the stars like scattered shards of glass. Her body still hurt, but her heart was at peace. She thought of all the faces she'd served with, all the names she'd whispered before sleep, the ones who didn't make it home, and she whispered a silent promise. She'd carry their courage with her always. Days later, she was cleared for transport back to the States. Her story spread faster than she could imagine, through bases, across social media, even into newsrooms. But Claire never sought fame. For her, the real reward had been waking up to see her brothers and sisters in uniform still breathing, still fighting, still alive. And when she finally walked off that plane and saw hundreds of people waiting, flags waving, cameras flashing, children holding signs, she understood something profound. Bravery isn't measured in medals or parades. It's measured in moments, the ones where you choose to act even when every instinct tells you to run. She smiled faintly, her hand brushing over the medal on her chest. It wasn't just metal. It was memory, a reminder that even in the darkest fire, humanity can still shine. If this story touched your heart, if you felt the courage, the sacrifice, the fire she walked through, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to Legends of History. It helps us keep telling the stories of those who remind us what true heroism means. Special request: comment below what courage means to you. Your words might just inspire someone who needs strength today.